Skinflick, a Dave Brandstetter mystery, Book 5. Author, Joseph Hansen. Publisher, Open Road Integrated Media. Narrator, Eric Aust. In memory of Dr. Dreadful, who left too soon. Chapter 10. The building with the number Mitternacht had given him faced the strip and looked all wrong. The facade was colonial, white pillars, green shutters. A sign claimed real estate was sold behind the green door with the shiny brass knocker. Dave waited for a break in traffic, then skidded the Triumph around a corner where the side street dropped sharply. There was an alley. He nipped into it. Spaces for cars backed on the rear walls of shops, trash barrels, broken crates. The barred employees-only doors were mostly unnumbered, but a number matching that on the real estate office was lettered in runny white paint on a plywood door, where a tall girl in noticeable makeup and a costume of pink, red, and orange skirts, scarves, and sashes smoked a cigarette under a yellow turban with a cerise plume. He pulled the Triumph in beside a white van without lettering that somehow didn't look like anybody's vacation vehicle. It looked like business, anonymous business. The girl wore big fake gold hoop earrings and had a husky voice. She looked Dave up and down hungrily and said with a regretful smile, "Sorry, nobody gets in." The door opened. A college-age boy in glasses and with a prominent Adam's apple said, "Okay, he wants you." "Excuse me," the tall girl said. "It's the big moment in the torture chamber." She dropped the cigarette, stepped on it with a gold sandal that showed toenails glued with glitter, and went inside. Dave went inside after her. Before the door fell shut, daylight showed him washrooms littered with wigs, grease paint tubes, boxes of tan powder, crumpled tissues stained with lipstick. "No smoking," a sign said. Then the door closed, and the only light was out in a big brick room where it struck hard at a naked teenage girl struggling inside a gilt and crimson papier-mâché mummy case that stood upright. Shiny manacles held the girl's ankles and wrists, chains looping from them to cleats inside the case. The case had a split lid, the curved halves open. The tall girl stood to one side of the coffin, another dressed like her to the other side, silhouetted against the light. A pair of men flanked a camera on a tripod. The only sound was the whir of the camera motor. The girl screamed silently and writhed without conviction in the very loose chains, while the gaudy attendants slowly closed the lethal halves of the door. 30% shut. 80%. "Breathe. It's there." The man who spoke had gillywog hair. He was big barrel-shaped soft. He moved out into the dazzling light. Black suit, black cape, pasted mandarin mustache. He undid the manacles. The naked girl stepped out of the mummy case. Her hair was tawny, her skin tawny, flawless, over a layer of puppy fat. She went away into the shadows. The gaudily rigged girls stood deathly still. The fuzzy-haired man returned to the camera. "All right." He ducked his head, did something to his face. "1 second for makeup. Now. Camera. Action." The motor whirred again. The gaudy girls went back to shutting the mummy case. At the last moment, cape flying, a slouch hat hiding his mad hair, the man rushed into the light. He flung himself against the doors, jamming them shut. He swung to face the camera. He put on a domino mask. He raised a fist at the camera, threw back his head, and laughed in demented triumph. He'd fitted himself with joke store Dracula teeth. He held the pose. Sweat trickled from under the mask. He held the pose. He broke the pose. "Zoom, you asshole!" he shouted. "Zoom! Remember!" "Oh shit! I'm sorry, Spence!" the cameraman said. Spence looked at the ceiling. "Herman, where are you when I need you?" He sighed, wiped his face. Okay, get it right this time. He turned back to the mummy case, leaned his hands against it, whirled, repeated the fist shaking, the crazy laugh. He held the pose. The cameraman worked something on the camera. Spence held the pose. He broke it. Cut! He untied the cape and let it fall, made a face, and took out the teeth. That gets it. He dropped the teeth into a pocket. Strike the mummy case. Don't you want the blood running out of it? The boy with the Adam's apple came into the light, holding a floppy script. Blue covers, big brass brads. That's the next shot. You wrote down here. Not while I've got actors sitting around getting paid, Spence said. Derisive laughter came from the dark. We haven't got ketchup right now anyway, Spence said. I'll smuggle a couple bottles of Fat Burger after supper. Cheap, cheap! Voices chanted from the dark. Spence took off the domino. Move it out, he said. And let's have some work lights for a minute, okay? Someone warm, smooth, and naked brushed past Dave. Light switches clicked. The big brick room had walls of assorted colors against a red section. A dummy slouched in an antique barber chair. Above a wing collar, the dummy's plaster throat was cut. The head lolled back. Memory said something to Dave about a demon barber of Fleet Street. Manacles and chains draped a blue section of wall above a wood-framed torture device with ropes and a big wheel. A rack? A brazier with fake glowing goals had fake branding irons sticking out of it. The switcher on off lights brushed past Dave again. He was perhaps 20, blond, smoothly muscled as a Roman marble. He wore his economical young flesh as unironically as clothes. He went and sat on a butt-sprung daybed with a tattered spread of black velvet sewed with sequins. The girl from the mummy case sat there too, smoking a cigarette, legs crossed. The boy picked up a Coke can from the cement floor and drank from it. The boy with the Adam's apple and another boy, even younger and wearing earphones with the cord dangling, got the mummy case onto a two-wheel dolly to cart it out of the way. Spence called to them. Easy, don't bang it around. I want to use it in my next billion-dollar box office smash. As a bathtub full of champagne. Ginger ale, one of the tall girls said. How about a sports car? The naked boy said. Paint on lights and a grill. Tack on some wheels. Let it roll off a cliff and catch fire. Just like TV. Sensational. Varoom, Spence said, studying a script. He flapped over pages. Okay, where's Inspector Hardcock of the CID? A middle-aged man said, Ha! And came out of a corner where a brass bed glistened against purple-flocked wallpaper. He tucked a script under his arm, put a deerstalker cap on his bald head, set a meerschaum pipe in his teeth. He wore a mustache and a tweed suit, and he chuckled. This is fascinating, he said. Why don't you film it in order? I'll be lucky, Spence said, if I can get it in order when I edit it. Where's the gun? I didn't give you the gun, did I? He went past the couch where the naked youngsters sat and rummaged in a curved-topped trunk that had been gold-leafed and stuck all over with glass jewels. He came up with a tin pistol and tossed it to the middle-aged man. He went to a tall flat painted to match the brick wall. The flat had a door in it. You come in here. Burst it in, you know. Only be careful. It's only lath and cardboard. He squinted at a pair of heavy-headed lights on standards that flanked the door. He looked around. Randy, do me a favor, baby. Get these out of here. Out the back. I'm tired of moving them for every shot. The girl who had let Dave in went and picked up the lamps. She was strong. She brought them past Dave. They creaked and squeaked and nodded. The girl widened her mascara eyes at him. She muttered, How the fuck did you get in? You're going to be in trouble. It should happen to everybody once, Dave said and pushed open the door for her. The sun was bright and hot out there. Clumsy in the skirts and scarves, she wrestled the lights outside. They clanked and clashed. Bright metal tags were riveted to them. The tags read, Superstar Rentals. Dave let the door fall shut. Spence was lecturing the middle-aged man in the deerstalker cap. Okay, you've discovered Dr. Dreadful's house of horrors at last. You've been running all over Soho in the fog looking for it. You stare all around. You're appalled, right? We'll keep cutting in shots of the mummy case, the torture instruments, the dead dummy, all of it. So, take your time. Then, there they are. The kids you've been trying to protect, you gape at them, really shocked, okay? You come too late, all right? He turned. Junie, Harold. Ah, shit, here it comes. Harold set down his Coke on the floor and pushed his beauty up off the couch. He looked abused and resentful. This is where I have to carry her, isn't it? That's rude, the girl called. Junie uncrossed her legs, bent, and stubbed out her cigarette on the cement. You know how I diet and diet. She got up, shaking back her hair. Spence said, you come in from over there by the washroom, holding her in your arms. You walk into camera range, right past here. Got it? You stop where the tape is on the floor. Only, don't look down for it this time, okay? Feel it with your toes. You're stunned. No expression. That ought to be easy. Just stare at the inspector, June. You've passed out from pain, remember? So, let your head hang back, way back. Be dead weight in his arms, right? Spence? The naked boy trudged back to Dave. It'll be over before you know it, Spence said. I hope you've got a truss in that trunk, Harold said. That would look fetching in the sex scenes, Spence said. Bend your knees when you lift her. You'll be fine. Junie grinned. Be thankful he never makes retakes. Never use that word in my presence, Spence said. Do I have to pick her up now? Harold said. Once for practice, Spence said. You don't have to carry her till Hardcock comes in and starts looking around. Yeah, looking around slowly, Harold said. He blew air out through his nose disgustedly. He got into a half crouch and held out his arms. Come on, Pudgy. But Junie saw Dave. There's a strange man in here. What? Spence saw Dave too. He came over. This is a closed set, he said. What do you want? To know where Charlene Sims is. Dave took out his wallet and showed Spence his license. She told people she had a job in films. You're Spence Odom, right? She's got a poster from one of your productions on a wall over her bed in an apartment she left hurriedly 10 days ago and hasn't come back to. I don't suppose your posters get around much. We're very big in Possum Stew, Arkansas, Spence Odom said, and Gopher Hole, Nebraska, but not in Nineveh and Tyre. He gave his wristwatch a pained look. Listen, I'm on a very tight budget. I can't hang around talking. Who? Charlene Sims, Dave said. Or maybe Charlene Dawson? Never heard of her. Spence Odom said. I'm suffocating back here. The middle-aged man opened the painted cardboard door in the painted cardboard flat. If I have to turn this knob, I've got to use my right hand. The gun will have to be in my left hand. We'll run through it, Odom called without turning. Blonde, small, slender, Dave said. Possibly as old as 16. I bet she looks 12. Odom clowned, shocked. Eyes wide, fingers to mouth. But, he stammered. That's degenerate. He held an open hand out to the naked young people who laughed. Do I look like that sort of man? He turned to the big brick room, holding out his arms. The cameraman was grinning. So were the boys, stowing the mummy case in a corner. Do you see anything decadent about this operation? Anything depraved? He turned back to Dave, taking off the slouch hat, clutching it to his breast. I hope you won't spread that opinion around. It could ruin my future with Walt Disney Productions. Junie giggled. Harold and the crew guffawed. It's Charlene's future that worries me, Dave said. She's mixed up in murder. She may even have been murdered herself. Now, do you know anything about her? The laughter stopped. Odom looked sober. No, I don't. I never met her, never heard of her. I don't know where she got the poster. Everybody rips everything off these days. You know that? I wouldn't use her. Too young, truth. He turned back. Why would somebody murder her? Because she saw Gerald Dawson murdered, Dave said. Odom moistened his lips. Superstar Reynolds? The place you get your stuff from, Dave said. I don't know the girl, Odom said. Believe me. He read his watch again. Look, will you get out now, please? I'll be back, Dave said and left. Blinded by sunlight, he was inside the Triumph before he noticed that Randy was in it ahead of him. In her hoop earrings and beaded false lashes, she gave off a powerful incense smell. You want to buy me a drink, she said in her husky voice. Or do you want me to buy you a drink? Woman's lib and all that. We could have dinner. It's not too early. Dave still couldn't see, so he reached out and laid fingers on her face. Under the heavy makeup was beard stubble. He laughed and turned the key in the ignition. The Triumph started with a splutter of loud, little valves. He backed out of the shadow of the white van. I have to see somebody at the marina, he said. Do you like to eat at the marina? I like to sit and drink Mai Tais at the warehouse and watch the little boats sink in the west. It's those tiny parasols that attach to the Mai Tais. The Triumph raced down the alley and into the street. Poor butterfly and all that, right? 'Neath the blossoms waiting, Randy laughed. The decor at the warehouse was barrels and cargo nets on the wooden decks, big pots of flowers perched on terry pier stakes. It was 3. Most of the lunch table stood empty. The tourists had gone away with their necks strapped. Minoltas full of out-of-focus blue water and white boats. The boats, tilting around the long, narrow bay, had sails stripped red and orange. The moored boats sported blue canvas covers. None of these were Fulbright's. Fulbright's was over yonder. He'd visit it next. No, Randy Van said. Spence doesn't want to be fooled. He knows I'm a TV. Does he ever? If he could figure out how. TVs are all he'd use, but for obvious reasons, at least one girl has always got to be real. He twisted the dinky bamboo and tissue paper parasol off his drink and fingers with scarlet nails. He'd abandoned the turban and most of the scholars in the Triumph out on the lot by the big wooden tanks of koi fish. He smiled at Dave. Boo-hoo, he said. Reality is always messing up my life. It can't be a career, Dave said. He doesn't make any money. He couldn't pay union scale. Be serious. Randy sipped at the big drink that looked like laboratory blood. He pays $80 a day. But even if he paid scale, he shoots in 2 days, then he lays off for months. My career is running a double needle sewing machine in a loft full of lady Mexican illegals. They think they're a persecuted minority. Huh. He says he never used a skinny little type called Charlene Blonde. Hardly out of grammar school. Did he? Never. Randy shook his head. It loosened his wig that was shiny black Medusa curls. He set it tight with both hands. I've worked in every flick he's made, so I know if he wanted to. He couldn't. The Iowa hicks that line up Saturday nights on Main Street would be outraged. Down Alabama way, they'd burn out the theater. Randy sipped his Mai Tai. A lot of lipstick had accumulated on the rim of the glass. I mean, he wants me, but he sighs and hires big tits and lots of corn-fed ass. Like Junie. She looks like a college girl, Dave said. Pepperdine? Randy nodded. She does it for less. He cocked an eyebrow. You didn't think it was hardcore, did you? Oh, no. She and Harold will roll around naked on that brass bed and kiss and moan a lot, but that's all. The rednecks would burst a blood vessel if anything really happened. That's what skinflick means. What you see ain't what you think, but it makes you think it is. And he shoots them in 2 days? Dave asked. On a lavish $10,000? Can I have a cigarette? Dave pushed his pack across the shiny planks of the tabletop. He lighted cigarettes for both of them. Thanks, Randy said. Most of the budget goes on lights, equipment, studio rent, music. He sneaks tape recorders into jazz clubs. Crew, college film students who want the experience and beg for the chance. Pay? What's pay? Cameraman too? Dave said. No, Randy said. Before it was always Herman. Before what? Odom misses him. Where is he? Dead. Herman Ludwig. Some kind of refugee. From behind the Iron Curtain? Randy winced. That expression always makes my teeth hurt. He was supposed to have been famous in Europe. Once upon a time, Randy gazed down at the Carvetti boats, the gleaming water. He blew away smoke. He was shot on the parking lot and back of the studio late at night. Those 2 days usually stretch their full 24 hours. Spence was setting up. Herman went out to bring back coffee, and somebody blew his head off with a shotgun. Who? Dave said. When? Nobody knows who. They just shot him and drove off. We didn't hear it. The place is soundproof. The sheriff found out later that neighbors heard it, but nobody phoned in. I got sent out to find him when he didn't come back. I stumbled across him. Dear God. Unsteadily, Randy gulped down all that remained of his Mai Tai. Talk about your hair turning white in one night. When? Dave said again. 10 days ago. Spence really misses him. Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold. To offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides. And in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.